As a kid, I was taught you cannot show emotion. That's what my mother told me. She's a nurse. She goes, if you show emotion, you will die. 5 more cop cars showed up. And they kind of surrounded me, and I'm like, why are so many of you here? Because of my car. I just want my car open so I can get my son his birthday cake and go home.
You told that story. Whew, I just wish that every white person in the world could have heard that story. Just that simple story would change so many perceptions, more than statistics, more than shame or trying to bake guilt. But I think that this will be the most powerful thing. We're not telling anyone what to do, what to take, what to say. We're just telling our story.
So when I was 13, I came to Utah to visit a friend, and that was my first time in Utah. And I don't know if I told you this, Dad, or I don't know if I told you this, Dad. I don't tell you a lot of things. I don't want you to feel sad, okay? And worried. So me and my friend are sitting out in front of the grocery store, and we're waiting for the snow to stop. And it was awesome. I'd never been in snow before. It was like, oh, this is amazing. But the snow was blowing, so I'm like, well, we'll wait for it to stop. We're just leaning on the salt bags. I guess you throw the salt to melt the snow, whatever you guys do. And so within a couple minutes, these cop cars pull up, and they grab me and my friend, and he's black too, light, half the color I am, and kind of toss us around. And we're young, but like your son, I look like how I looked when I was 13. Like, this is just me for the last 20 years, you know? And so the cop's kind of shaking us around and puts him in the car, and he's grabbing me, and we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And putting me in the car, and an older white lady comes out of the store and says, and the cop says to her, is this them? And she says, that's them. That's them. And he says, where are the salt bags? And she said, well, I don't know. I said, well, you saw where he put them, right? I didn't see it, but it looked like they were gonna. And then, so he was like, so they didn't take the salt bags. I don't know. And then so he lets us out and, you know, kind of pushes us back and tells us to stay off the salt bags. And then that was that. Now here's how I feel. I don't believe that she is this overt racist. I believe that she believes what she sees on TV. Like, I don't think that she has these black boys who've been stealing from her whole life and she's I believe that she thought, I saw what I've seen. And so I'm doing everything I can to change that narrative, because it's that stereotype that is a part of this bias that people are living by.
I was just going to mention this. This is something I've learned. I've talked to a lot of white folk. Luckily, that's where we live, so we have a lot of opportunity. And what I learned is that there's just a lot of societal blindness. Yeah. They don't know, and they make assumptions. And when you start telling them the stories maybe that you haven't shared, they start to see. But I think when we were talking about things like guilt and a few other issues, I think what we see is that sometimes we're not telling our story so we can be seen. We're telling our story to create division. And I truly believe that most people who love humanity and they'll understand their blindness will see us, and then they'll naturally make those natural changes to be supportive.
I was in Hollywood driving, and I had, one of my lights was turned off. One of my lights was out in the front. And so I got pulled over. They approached me and said, okay, one of your lights is out. Can I see your driver's license? I said, yeah, no problem. It's in my glove compartment. Is it okay if I reach for it? And he said, get out of the car. So I got out of the car. The officer who started checking if I had anything handcuffed me, and while the other officer, who was a white officer, checked my whole car. And so
in your glove compartment?
In
your glove compartment?
Just checked my whole entire car.
Wow.
So yeah, and so
the description.
Wow.
yeah, so it was. So basically, when I was telling one of my dear white friends that, she said, So something that I do is I have my driver's license and my registration in my hand on top of the wheel by the time they get to the car.
Right.
So that way, that never even happens. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known that, in the beginning. So hopefully that saves a few lives,
I plan for the situation before I'm in the situation. So the first car I bought in Utah was a Infinity. I put BYU plates on it.
Thinking you were safe.
I did not get pulled over. When I bought my two Benz, I put veterans plates on the back. I put Navy plates on the back with the anchor plate thing. And let me tell you, when they get to my window, I'm already ready to start talking Navy with them. Like, let me find something we have in common first, so that you don't think that, one, I'm too uppity for my own good, and two, that I'm a threat. Now, I shouldn't have to plan for that. How can I appear non-threatening to the guy who shows up at my window with the gun on his side?
A lot of black people in this community, a lot of them are not equipped to understand, to think ahead like that.
Yep.
I can honestly say my kids are equipped. There are some kids who are not equipped to go out and deal with those types of situations and can get themselves killed.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And so how do they get equipped?
I tried for one day to look at the good that was happening, as opposed to, oh, there it goes again. And I can't believe you just said, do you know how long I've known you? And you put that comment? I've known you for years, bro. I love you. You love me. You hang out with my kids. And you say that? Like it was messing my brain up. So I had to stop. I had to go back to Jesus, man. I had to go. You can't be there. You can't be there. You can't fix anything being there. I just feel just for the experience of just that reading of the scriptures, like mentally every day, like not, like when you work at the buff dudes, this guy, if he misses a day, I bet he's mad at the gym. I bet he's mad, right? I want to be like that with deity.
We come from the northeastern Caribbean, where just about everybody is actually the opposite of Utah. So we came up seeing black policemen, black educators, black lawyers. Some things were a little corrupt, as they are in all places where there's power. But at the same time, that diverse upbringing allowed me to understand exactly what it is that you're saying. And it helps me teach my 7 children at home the same thing you're saying. There's English, there's whiteyes, there's vernacular. You have to know how to speak and navigate those things. I mean, I think we understand that growing up here.
The only way we get change is through the struggle. Sometimes we want to just get the gift right away. We want to talk about why this gift isn't happening to us and this and that, and then we go through the struggle. And boy, that gift comes. And I know every single person in this building has felt that struggle and felt the gifts.
So I live in LA, and I was not gonna protest. My wife said, "You better not go protest," and I said, "Of course not. This is crazy down there. I'm not going down there." And so I went and did my work with my editor and whatever else, and then I went and had another meeting, and at the end of my meeting, I was like, well, I gotta get out of here because it's curfew. Curfew for what? Like, well, there's protests going on and there's some riots happening, and it's like, for what? And I said, well, what do you mean for what? Like, you don't know what's happening in the world? He's like, no, I know what's happening, but why protest? And I was like, and this is not just a coworker, it's a dear friend of mine. It's a dear friend of mine. Like, white friend. Like, I'll call on him. Like, that's my guy. Like, you know what I mean? So he said, well, why protest? And I said, well, I mean, there's a number of reasons why to protest, but police brutality for one, equality, civil rights. I said, I don't know. Just turn on the news. Those are the reasons why. Let's not have this conversation. I don't want to lose you now. Until we finish our project. And so he said, not my problem. And that's what, that turned me into a different person. That turned me into a different human being. Because I'm telling you, I'm the one, I'm in house. My wife said go home. I'm going home. But because he said that, I went to the other eye of the storm, where the writing and everything is, and I was like, I have to be there. If there's people that are saying, it's not my fight, it's not my problem, then I have to do everything. I have to.
Guys, I'm tired of telling the truth. Like when I'm accepting everything, people see me as a man of God. They see me as humble. But when I step up and say, you've done something and it hurts me, they say to me that I'm bringing more contention around them.
Exactly.
They say to me that I am the kind of angry black man. They say that I'm gonna pray for you to become a man of God because I see that today. Like, wait, you hurt me and then you tell me how to heal. But when I'm silenced, I'm the best father in the family. Like, I'm the best man of God.
My wife and I are competitive trap shooters. We're both on the state team this year. First time 2 black people have been on the state team. My wife and I travel all over the state, Las Vegas, Idaho, and shoot. And we have found that this group of people, they like us, they trust us, and they've accepted us. So before we get too carried away with what's wrong, I'd like to say thank you for what's right. Okay, because trust me, when you got guys carrying 12 gauge shotguns and we're all on the line, you know, when I first went out there, trust me, I did this quite often. Who's got a shotgun pointed at us? But the more we have gone and the more they know who we are, 0 problems.
Why do, and like you said, I hear familiar with Dr. Brown. He talks about the super Negro and breaks it all down. So, like, why do I have to be the exception? Why can't I just be like everyone else in my community and be accepted by it? Why do I have to?
Why do you have to be Jackie Robinson?
Exactly. I shouldn't have to be that guy.
And that's the thing. I don't think that we're actually the exception. Like, you all are like 95% of the black men that I grew up around in Georgia at prep school. Like, you all have the same stories as most of my black friends growing up, the black friends I had in college. Adam, I was in college with your sister, Landy. You know, like, we were, like, this is who we are. Those stereotypes are actually the exception. That's not who we are.
I'm very fortunate to be raised in Deep South, 60s, days of KKK, Jim Crow. And I say fortunate because my community was segregated. You couldn't find more proud people than grew up in Tallahassee, Florida. And for many people don't know this, and this is things that's been kept away from us, because the minute we know that we're not helpless and hopeless and victims, the more empowered we are. And I'll tell you something, guys, 40s, 50s, and 60s, there was a black community that led our country, entire country, in the growth of the middle class. Men matriculated from college, men committed to marriage, and entrepreneurs. Over 40% of us were entrepreneurs. So we wonder why in the 60s, 50 to 60% of black Americans were middle class, because our money stayed there. Our experience stayed there, our leadership, and those who were poor had examples right next door to see what can happen. What's happened the last 60 years, guys, is an effort. It's been an effort to change how we perceive ourselves and how other people perceive us. Media, somebody said media earlier. It's not an accident that all of a sudden our heroes, to our kids, to black and African talent, are these rappers who they can't speak without cursing. They degrade our women. All those things have been pushed on us, and we have to first of all be men that are proud, not only proud of who we are, but proud of the opportunities we have. Because life is not a clean slate where things will be perfect. But man, if you understand opportunities and understand that we have a chance to really change the direction of our race,
what a great opportunity to stay positive and talk about the good things instead of joining the choir of all the negative stuff that's going on. Anyway, I'll just say this. I am so proud to be an American. I'm so proud to be a Black American. I'm so proud to have been raised in a community I grew up in, where the N-word was all, if you had any interaction with white people, N-word was just normal. But guess what? So those guys right now are some of my best friends on Facebook, because we've all grown up. We all realized that the narrative of our fathers was totally wrong, and that we can be much better people. So I'm saying that I missed most of the conversation. I'm sorry for that. I really am. But I just say this. This is what makes it work for our community. Men standing up and being men and say, what can we do? We might not agree on everything, and that's okay, but we have the same end game.
Just be me? All right, bet. I just think this is extremely valuable to share the things that we've overcome together through these conversations. Through my faith in God, I believe that this world will see the change that is necessary. So I'm just here to do my part at the end of the day. And yeah, appreciate you guys for having me.